Hi guys, welcome back. So England get the job done in Australia, 17-25, taking the second test, and we get a finale, a decider next week, just like the New Zealand-Ireland series. Fantastic stuff, really tense. It's not a classic game, this second test, but England did what they needed to do with a forwards display, a kicking display, a tactical masterclass in that first half, held on a bit at the end, but get it done, and it's all down to the end. Australia also suffering some injuries as well, which didn't help. But anyway, let's get into it. England with a really strong start. Genge fires the first shots in this first half. Tupou comes back. That was the clash that was billed, and it actually did deliver as well. Those two super fired up. I actually wanted Genge to stay on longer again. I don't know why they take him off so early, but that's just what happens with front rows, I guess. Anyway, really good attacking phases from England. They get a penalty, they go to the corner, and there's a noticeable change in England's attack, with Smith actually playing as an out-and-out 10, and things being a little bit simpler, I thought. Now, I don't think Smith actually had a great game, to be honest. He does look a little bit lost in this system. It's not what he's used to, so I'm not overly sure about it, but it was very clear in what they were doing, and it was also a little bit simpler, like I said. Petaia off early for Australia, and they did have some nasty breaks with injuries. They had some struggles with injuries before the game, which they just about filled, but Petaia off early, that wasn't useful with a head knock. And then England score their try from that penalty to the corner. And it's a very clever shifted drive. It's a front ball, but they again shift the ball further to the front, and the maul flies over Billy Vunipola touching down. That English maul did well all game. That was very inventive, not really something we saw in the first test, and the forwards did some really nice stuff again in this game, better probably than last week. Didn't see a huge amount of running from the backs, but the forwards were doing that damage. Again, another little note here, Stewart, a few people saying we weren't sure about Stewart in the team, but he does what he does in defence, and 3 early very good defensive touches and positioning from Stewart, that's what he brings to the team. 8 minutes in, and it's clear England are all over Australia at the moment. Australia don't know what to do. Atoje was with a nice line-out steal. Big carries from Billy Vunipola, who was very keen to get on the ball, as he normally is. 0-10, and then another penalty, 0-13. It's exactly what England wanted. A flying start there. The young 9, Jack van Poortvliet, who I've been going on about having the skills and physique to be an all-round 9, showed this in the first half, that he can do everything. His passing, kicking, and a bit of breaking as well. A little bit of everything was exactly what this tactical game needed. So maybe that's why he started and Kerr came on, because maybe Jack van Poortvliet is more of that tactical player, a bit more variety. The scrum is on top as well. The English scrum was looking good in that first half. Genge with his first scrum penalty. Him and Tupou really going at it. And I think there was some back chat from Tupou as well. So they were marched back. So it's all going England. And Australia are attacking. They're trying, but England are up to the challenge. And also Australia are attacking from a bit deeper. Lawes with a big jackal penalty. Nothing's going for Australia at the moment. Parise is a knock-on there, deliberate knock-on, so it's a yellow card. That's a real blow. So it's just going from bad to worse for Australia. 0-16 before 20 minutes is even gone, and they just couldn't get back into the game. They tried really hard, but they couldn't. They were panicking a little bit, looking dangerous, looking powerful, but putting themselves under pressure as well. Funny moment, Smith chips the ball off Bell's face. Bell actually had a really good game, I thought. Noel gets put in out wide, but he doesn't have the pace to beat a man one-on-one, particularly for pace. I thought Noel actually played well all game, but that was a chance. Maybe they whizzed it wide a bit too early, and England had a lot of good chances in this first half to go further in front, and probably should have a bit actually. Not super clinical at times. Another note here, England's kick chase game was a bit of a long kick chase game for a lot of it, trying to pin Australia back. Similar-ish to the Ireland-New Zealand game, where Ireland were kicking long as well. Australia, they clearly have lots of dangerous backs, but England are just keeping them a long way out at the moment. Nice decisions, from the likes of Van Poortvliet, like I mentioned, and the set piece is on the money. They're all over Australia. And another penalty, 0-19. So Australia haven't scored a point at this point, and it's not looking like they are actually. But then a nasty scrum penalty for England to concede. It doesn't look like England have done anything wrong. On the analysis in the game, it didn't look like they did either. But anyway, ruthless attack from Australia with their first chance. The two props and Paisami looking super powerful. Goodness me, Paisami is an absolute beast of a runner. They make the damage. Tupou goes over. 7-19, they're back in the game. They really needed that, and they finished strong. Big carry from Paisami, and Itoje has to go off injured. That definitely didn't help England. So half time, Australia just claw back into it, 7-19, but England probably should have been further ahead and probably even out of sight at half time, but there's definitely a chance left for Australia. Now, the second half starts with even more injury woes for Australia. I mean, they are really unlucky in this game. It's Parise off with a nasty knee injury. He looks in absolute agony and also devastated, which is a real shame. O'Connor has to come on. They definitely didn't want O'Connor to come on somewhere other than 10, but he has to come on somewhere, so he comes on at 15. Doesn't do great, to be honest, when he's on. That probably didn't help him. They really wanted Petaia to play most of the game, I'm sure. Strong work from Billy Vunipola again, who had a good game, carrying off the base. Jack Van Poortvliet, more good play. Another penalty, England kicking their penalties, not risking going for the corner, even though their maul was looking pretty good. So 7-22, just eking ahead. But then Australia come to life on 47 minutes. Big scrum from Australia. They batter away at England's line with that power. Again, Paisami, Tupou to the fore. So good. And it's a walk-in for Karevi on the left in the end. That seemed a bit easy. 14-22 alarms for England there. Very ruthless from Australia when they do have the chance. England's backs, a note here as well, just not even a sniff of a break. I haven't really seen anything. I didn't see anything in this game to show England looked dangerous with a running attack again. But luckily, tactically and up front, they were very good. So it didn't actually matter in the end. A bit of a mistake from Smith on 52 minutes. Can't keep his hands out of the cookie jar. A little deliberate knock on. It was a bit silly, unnecessary, but it's a yellow. That doesn't help. Australia sneak it back there, 17-22. This was the point now. Within 5, it looked like Australia could well strike. I felt England needed some injection of subs. Arundel maybe care on at that point, but they delay them a bit longer. Again, 54 minutes making a note here. Who's causing the danger for Australia? Kurumbeti, Paisami. So much pace and power, something that England just do not have in the backs at all. And all the momentum is Australia. But England are hanging in there 5 points out. And O'Connor helps them out with a kick out on the full. And he did another horror kick as well later on. Really helps them to breathe. And I made a note here, 20 minutes out. The classic cliche, the next score is vital, because it was. England go back to their strength, one of their strengths, their monster maul goes a full 30 metre. Their maul looked absolutely fantastic, but a horror pass from Van Poortvliet, and Australia go 18 metres down. The game is in the balance, it's swinging backwards and forwards. Who's going to blink first? Well, finally, England's backs come to the party a bit with Porter, a brilliant carry out of the 22, makes miles more ground than he should have. Noel, some nice steps from a cross-field kick. They get a penalty in front of the post, and as they've been doing all game, just knocking that penalty over. 17-25. It looks like that's really powerful because, it's an 8-point lead beyond a converted try. But then a silly penalty from Hayes, picks the ball up in a ruck and just stops playing. Really silly stuff. Luckily, you get O'Connor's second kick out on the full, missing the penalty. That was a shocker, to be honest. They could have lost the game right there, Australia, or the chance to win anyway. Game's so tight. It's who blinks first. Ball in hand. England don't really have those ideas, but they're doing the job at the moment. Kick pass being an option. High ball being an option. Farrell misses a penalty to maybe put the game out of sight, but the clock is ticking down. Even that penalty took another minute or so out of the clock. The maul's fairly effective. Australia are throwing the kitchen sink at England, but it's just too late. There's a knock-on from Australia, and that is the game. It's all over. So Australia will think, well, when we fired shots, we looked super dangerous. But England were very, very clever with their tactics. Their forwards looked really good. I thought their set piece looked decent. Their kicking looked decent. Farrell kicked very well this game. Still have no idea what England's backs are doing. Not a lot, to be honest. No power, no pace. But anyway, all the other bits were pretty decent, so they get the job done. And it's 1-1 in the series. Who's going to win the final game? It's, again, a 50-50 game. It's so exciting. Put all the comments below. Plenty to talk about. And I'll catch you next time.